my man. And we are live. It is now 8:30. Yeah. Sanbonani, Dumelang. What's up? What's up? Happy quarantine. Like, I don't even know what the right etiquette is for this sort of thing. Happy quarantine. Happy Dumelang, Sanbonani, whatever it is that you call it. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining me on the live. As promised at 8:30. Hello, May. How you doing? Yeah, thanks a lot for joining me on the live. Like I said, we're going to talk about the music industry today and the business side of things. So just as a departure point, let's get this out of the way. I'm not necessarily an expert, a guru, or anything great, but I do have, a couple of years of experience in the music industry that I'd like to share with us. And the reason why I'm doing this, I am not an artist manager anymore. I used to be an artist manager, but not anymore. What is that? Okay. I used to be an artist manager, but not anymore. And I've moved on from that. But because, we're under lockdown, day, whatever, 190, there's some info, a couple of guys will come into my DMs and ask me if I could manage them. And I thought, you know what? I've got info. I've got stuff in my head, experiences. Let me share that. So I'm sharing that, and not to open the floodgates again for me to get into management, but just to share information with people who may need it. There's a lot of stuff that, I casually talk about with people about the music industry, and there's a lot of misinformation about the music industry that exists out there. But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity in the music industry. The music industry is a 3 billion rand per year business in South Africa. I'm not talking in the world, in South Africa. Now, this is an industry where a lot of people make money. A lot of money exchanges hands, but in so many different levels from a business point of view, where, the people in the legal industry make money. People in the accountants make a lot of money. PR and marketing agencies and specialists make a lot of money. The value chain is so massive. And central to all of this is the musicians, the artists, right? They are basically the soul of it all, but they're not the be all end all. There's just so much to the industry, to the game, than just you being a musician. So I wanted us to come and talk about these things, expand a little bit on, how the industry operates, what it is about, from any different, from a whole lot of different aspects, like I put in the poster, where we're going to talk about money, you're going to talk about ownership of rights, ownership of music, the pros and cons of owning a record label, of being signed, to a record label, the pros and cons of being independent, and just about everything in music business related. So I'm not going to give you tips on what is a good song, what is a bad song. No, we're going to talk about the business side of things. So if you want to jump in as well, you either seeking clarity or you want to ask me a question that I'm perhaps not covering, then you can call in with your question, and then I'll attempt to answer your question to the best of my ability. Yeah, you can ask me 2 questions, and I will answer those 2 questions before moving on to some of the notes that I have prepped, and maybe taking the next caller as well. So don't be scared to give me a call and ask me whatever it is that you want to ask me. So let's start with the legal side of things. One of the biggest things that people always talk about is legal encompasses so much about the industry. When it comes to ownership, like, how can I own my music? Who owns my music? Do I own my music? And that all speaks to the legal understanding of the business, right? And if you don't have a firm grip on that, you will find yourself in, not necessarily, it's not always finding yourself in trouble, but you find yourself in an uncomfortable space where you don't know what's going on, and you assume this should be happening, but actually legally, that what's going on is actually the right thing, So starting, just speaking from a layman's point of view, who owns music in the music industry? It's the same as with anything else in the world. He who pays for it owns it. It's as simple as that. He who pays for it owns it. That principle applies anywhere and everywhere, And it's unfortunate that, maybe people of the arts are not this is not explained to them from the get-go, and they don't, they're not allowed, but this is not, they're not accustomed to that principle or that concept. They believe that if I produce this art, then I own it, but not necessarily. If you are in a record label, you get signed to a record deal. The record label owns your music. They own the master, because they are paying for everything. Let's make a simple example. Like, what does it take to have an album? You're gonna need beat makers. You probably gonna need session artists who are gonna sing in the background or do whatever it is that they need to do on your song. You're going to need a studio in which to record this. The session artists are the different guys who are going to come and lay down their instrumentations. If you need that guy who plays keys, that guy who plays drums and whatever, you're going to need, this is before we even start recording. This is just people that you're going to need to come on board and follow your direction, your creation, that, guys, this is a song I have in mind. This is what I want you on keys to do this, blah, 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 blah. You're going to need a whole lot of people to come into studio with you. Then you need the studio. Then you need a studio engineer. Then you'll record whatever it is that you came up with. After recording all of that, then it has to get mixed and mastered. And after it's mixed and mastered, it's pressed onto CD or whatever it is that you guys, however it is that you guys feel you're going to put it out. It's then also made available on online platforms. You go in for a photo shoot, because now you gotta promote your album. Now you have a team of people that are working on concepts on how to promote your album. Then you've got a distribution deal that you need to think about. There's just the value chain, like I said in the beginning. It's such a big thing that just put out one album, or to work on an album from a professional point of view with a record label, a lot of people join in to work on your project that are hired and employed by the record label. Then the record label has to pay all of those people, pay all the service providers, the studio. If the record label doesn't have its own studio, they have to pay for the studio time where you're recording. They have to pay for all the beats that you may be buying from different producers. They have to pay for all the session artists. They have to pay for the PR and marketing that goes into. You are a whole business. You are a whole plan, right? And depending on which artist you are, or how generous, how deep the pockets of that particular record label are, how deep their pockets go, they may spend anything on you, 50K all the way up to $1 million. For different artists, they can pay up to $1 million for an album of that particular artist. So when all of that, he who is putting up the money for all of this to happen, they want a return on their money. They're not doing this for fun. They're not doing this because they like you. They want a return. They're in business. They're not musicians. They're not artists. They're business people. And that is where there's always a big disconnect between artists and record label owners. Record label owners are not artists most of the time. They're not artists. They're business people who understand the business industry. Like I said, the music industry in South Africa is worth 3 billion rands. Now, if it's a 3 billion rand industry, my man, if you have 0.1% of the market share of the music industry, just 0.1% of the market share of the industry, you're making 3 million a year if you do the math behind that. So I, as a businessman, if I study the game properly and the system, I will invest in this industry, and I'll invest because I'm looking for a return. So if I'm going to put 500,000 into Bangi's project, I want 1 million to 1.5 million back out of that, right? And so that deals with who owns this, who owns the music. The master will be owned by the people who paid for it, which in most cases, it's always the record label. And then going further from that, there's generally 3 types of contracts that artists will sign with a record label. You'll sign a record thing. You'll sign a recording contract, which is what I just explained now, where you're recording your album with them and they own the master. Then you'll sign an artist management contract, which is basically where they own your brand. They manage in your brand. So all your endorsement deals, which are separate from the music, the endorsement deals, they will also be like, we are responsible for that, or the amount of money that we put into your PR. We deserve a return on investment. If an endorsement comes in, we deserve a return on investment on that, because you are this brand, because of the amount of money and time that we've put in. So we deserve a cut from that. So there's a management deal, a management thingy, a contract. Then there's also a bookings contract. The bookings contract as well is where they say, for every performance, we are going to take X amount of money. Now, they, in the bookings contract, some record labels, it gets funny depending on who you're talking to or who you're working with. Some record labels will put in a little clause there called a recoup clause, where they're recouping the money that they paid you or that they've invested in you. Now, you got to be really, really careful when you're signing these contracts. I always say, if you're going to take a contract with any record label, get somebody with proper legal understanding to read it and explain it to you. Now, not everybody's going to knock you, like not necessarily always the case, because you are in this business, you're providing a service to a certain degree, and so people in this value chain are going to make money out of you. There's always a big, it's sort of like an attitude that you find amongst artists, where they feel like nobody's supposed to make money out of my talent. That doesn't exist almost anywhere in the world. Wherever services are offered, somebody in that value chain is making money too. So you just gotta be able to manage how much money is being made out of you, how much money can you make as well from all of that. And that is where, you gotta have a strong team that is working for you, that is working in your best interests. Now, I'd say to most artists, don't get into a management deal with the record label. Sign the recording deal with a record label, but keep your own management, keep your own bookings for yourself. Manage that. Just keep it separate away from the music, the music contract. That is possible, and you should negotiate that as well. 3 types of contracts: the music contract, the recording contract, the artist management, and the bookings contract. Those 3 contracts, keep them separate. Some record labels will give you one contract that encompasses all of those things, and that is generally where, depending on who you're talking to, who's giving you the deal, some artists get knocked. And when they get knocked, you find that some deals will say, listen, we are putting $500,000 into your project, and through us putting $500,000 into your project, we are going to put a recoup clause into this one contract, which encompasses all 3 contracts that I just mentioned, into this one contract. And that clause says, we are going to pay you whatever money is being made. We are going to pay you $30,000 a month or $50,000 a month for the next 2 years, and every money that is being made, we will be recouping our money first before you can start making money. That is where things start getting tricky. That is where people start getting knocked, so to speak. And you got to be careful. Separate those things when you get into contracts. Always have a lawyer that you can go refer to be like, yo, dude, does this contract look okay? What does this actually mean? But more than anything, you got to be ready. You got to be willing to understand that people are going to make money out of your existence. That's just how it is. Chefs who come up with the best, whoever came up with the recipe for the twister at KFC, that probably got paid their fair share, but every KFC is making a hell of a lot of money out of their concept. So everywhere you go in the world, people are going to make money out of your talents. It doesn't matter. Soccer players, Lionel Messi, best soccer player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo, best soccer player in the world, but Juventus and Barcelona are making more money out of them than they are making money out of the teams. It's just how it is. We don't make the rules. That's just how it is. You just got to find a way on how you're going to survive in that whole market, So That is a little bit on the legal side of things. That is me talking to the artist about the legal side of things. I also want to talk to people who are not who are not musicians per se, but they are, friends of mine who are lawyers, or some folks who are watching this who are lawyers. A 3 billion rand industry. Surely there's a whole lot of legal issues that go on in there that people would like to either take advantage of, or people are being taken advantage of. And lawyers are a very necessary part of this industry. But before we get into the lawyers, I see I've got a call. I need to get this right. Black Zico, the next, is sending me, is calling me. Let me join him and question he's got. And yeah, like I said, you can also give me a call, and I'll take 2 of your questions before moving on back to what we're doing, and before taking the next call. So, Black Zico. Yo, what's up, brother? I hope you've got good network.
Yo, bro.
Is it a brother or a sister? Yo, Black Zico.
It's bad.
Oh man. Yo, it's a man. Yeah, sure, dog. Your network doesn't seem to be working. He hung up. Yeah, he hung up. Okay. So yeah, if you want to type a question, you can also type it. I'll read it down here on my comment section, and I will give you an answer right there. But like I said, yeah, like Black Zico has just attempted to give me a call. You can also give me a call with your question. It's all good. So yeah, sorry, Black Zico, bad network. Yeah, of course. So then there's also for the lawyers out there, I do have some friends who ask me, yo, dog, how can I jump into the music industry? Is there opportunity to jump into the music industry? Here's the thing. There are millions of artists, musicians in this country who want to get into the music industry. And they, like, we all know the old rhetoric, they get knocked, so to speak. Whether that's completely true or not, I mean, it's neither here nor there. But a lot of folks out there need music legal backing. They need music industry legal backing. And there's ample of space for more law firms to jump into this space. But before we get into that, Mr. Lumko Jacobs is also giving me a call. Let me try and take that call and see if he's got better network. So yeah, to my legal friends out there, there's ample of opportunity in the music industry. I'll explain to you just now. Lumko, what's up, brother?
I'm good, and yourself, bro?
I'm all right, man. Is that a great college talk?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, dude, gotta get rid of that thing.
It's a coincidence that I'm wearing it today.
What's going on,
How
brother?
are you, bro?
I'm
right, good, man. And yourself?
All good, all good.
All good. Thanks
a lot for joining the live, man.
It's thanks for doing the live.
Oh yeah, for sure. No worries.
Yeah,
no worries.
Man. I heard like we can only ask like 2 questions.
Yeah. For now, we can call back again later.
We can go back later.
Yeah.
Oh, because I had a lot, but we can narrow it down to 2. So I hear you.
Let's start with the first 2.
You were talking about the 3 type of contracts, like the music contract or the recording contract, contract, and then the management contract, and then the bookings contract. So sure. I want to hear from you, like, where do you like see the future of like the South African music industry heading in terms of that? Because where I'm at right now with it now, I'm like I'm an artist manager, actually. I'm not an artist.
Right.
I'm an aspiring artist manager.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, away. So I want to ask with regards to that now. So a licensing, you know about the licensing deal, and maybe where you have like an independent label and you go into a partnership with the label. I wanted to ask about those 2 deals, the licensing and the partnership, and the difference between those.
Okay. So I think I've got like two questions from you. Let me get to the first one. Well, I'll get to this. Let me start with the second question, because I think your first one was, where do I think the industry is going, right?
Okay, yeah. In terms of artists signing contracts with record labels. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me get to the second question, where you're asking me about licensing and a partnership with a record label.
Yeah.
Okay. So licensing, there are some terms in the country that people don't quite understand them the way that they should, because entertainment industry in this country, we learn a lot about it in reference to America. And what Americans use when they say licensing, or when they say distribution, or when they say publishing, those are actually quite different terms. It's sort of like, you know how in South Africa, the robot in America is called the street light?
I get it.
In America, a robot is not what we know as a robot, right? It's a completely different thing. So the same thing, like when it comes to publishing in South Africa is not the same as publishing in America, right? So you gotta understand those concepts and what they mean to you in South Africa. What is a licensing deal, right? There are different types of licensing deals. You can license a song to be in an advert. You can license a song for different things, right? To be the jingle on a TV show, stuff like that. Then there's the license that people hold for royalties. So like it's such a mix. It's a multi-layered conversation.
Would you agree with the
just
term
on
that
licensing.
you get what you negotiate? It also depends who you are also with these labels. But I feel like
I mean,
you get what you negotiate and what you know.
Absolutely. That was my second. That was going to be my answer to what you were asking when you said, what sort of deal do you get between yourself and the record label? You get what you negotiate. Ultimately, at the end of the day, and don't let them do the negotiation and you don't say nothing. You also gotta push back. It's gotta be a back and forth type vibe, right? And because a lot of artists don't negotiate, they are given contracts and they sign. And they don't negotiate. So you get what you get what you are given in that contract. And some artists will,
also with these deals, there's like a standard deal, and then sometimes it depends what type of what you've built in the industry, and then you don't get a standard deal, but you get a deal that's curated for you, and the terms are different because of who you are. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what a standard
Universal does that a lot.
Eh?
Universal.
I mean, I don't even know what a standard deal is anymore. To be honest,
you don't know what it is anymore.
The industry is changing so fast. The world is changing so fast. There's no such thing as a standard deal anymore. Deals are dynamic. The deal that I get will be different to a deal that you get. So that's a whole different thing.
So where do you think? To wrap it up, it's going in terms of independence and the majors. Where do you think it's going? Obviously, the majors will always get an advantage because of the resources. Yes.
Yeah, the majors are always going to be around for a long, long time. But what people can do is they can start to learn on how to become their own personal major, like Casper did with Bridge. But you should be careful with that as well. You should be careful with that as well, because both Casper, it wasn't all just, hey, I've got dope music. They're very well organized.
No, it was thought about.
Bridge Entertainment does not mess around. Family Tree does not mess around. They're very well organized. You cannot underestimate them. You cannot undermine them. There's no ways they could have pulled the types of success that they pulled from luck. They're very well organized.
I feel like they set the blueprint, in terms of being independent.
Until you commit yourself to being that organized, I don't care
Mm-hmm.
how talented you are, you're never going to be successful.
Never gonna
You're
make it.
always going to need a record label. And that's what record labels are. They're very well organized business companies in the music industry. They're very well organized organizations. Otherwise, you can call back in again. I see I've got a couple of folks that also want to call in. Thanks a lot for the call, bro.
No, thank you, Doc. Thank you.
All right, sure, man. Keep watching. We'll talk about more stuff.
Away.
Wait. So yeah, that's Lumko and his question. If you also want to call in and ask whatever questions that you have, you can you can call in and I will take your call. Jeez, okay, I've missed that call is cancelled. Makhaje Bangi, will this recording be made available? I keep losing you and I've missed some bits. Yeah, I see that, network is different depending where you at. So yeah, I'm gonna make this video available. And I'm also going to download the video and put it on my YouTube, actually on all my social pages. So after this conversation, I'll tell you where I'm going to put this video and you can watch it afterwards, the uninterrupted version of it, of course. But yeah, you can give me a call and ask me whatever questions that you want to ask. So before Lunko jumped in, I think I'll go back to a little bit just to clarify some things from what he asked. Just before he jumped in, I was talking about legal companies. Legal companies are a big need in the industry. But what I would suggest to lawyers coming into this space is gents and ladies who are lawyers, this is a different industry, which is primarily an industry of the have-nots, right? Artists don't necessarily have a lot of money in the beginning besides their talent, but they are massive, like potential with gold mines, and these are people with massive potential of being absolute millionaires, and we see it with the guys who make it to the top. Now I'll talk about the different levels as well. There's guys who make it to the top and make millions. Then there's guys who are just in the middle. Then there's guys who are lower down here, but they're making a lot of money too. I'll touch on that when we get into business strategies, the business plans that artists need to employ. But to the lawyers out there, jump into this industry, and the money is in more than anything. The money is in quantities for you as a lawyer, as a law firm. As a law firm, you're not going to be doing this artist legal stuff every single day, but look at it more like an insurance company where if you're an insurance company, the more people you have signed onto your thing, the more money you'll make. But the probabilities are, the more organized legally your artists are, the better the chances of them actually making good money. And if your artists are making good money, you will make good money as a legal firm. But there's contract issues that run up and down every single day in the music industry that musicians do not understand. They and you as law firms are necessary to jump in and be like, yo, I can help you with your contract, and you can charge them decent amounts. You can charge them anything. I mean, who am I to put an amount on it? But off the top of my head, as a lawyer who's going to help somebody with the contract, I would say anything from 500 to 2K where you were consulting on this contract. Anything from 500 bucks to 2K, most artists can probably afford that, because an artist, just to go record one song, they already need anything from 500 bucks to 5,000 rands to record one song. So if they are people who care that much about their music, then they should care that much about the legal aspect as well, ownership of the music or getting their papers in line. So if you're a lawyer who's you're going to be doing maybe perhaps the books of the contracts, giving advice to artists on their contracts. If you're doing 20 artists a month at 500 bucks to 1,000 to 1,500, there you go. That's how much money that you're making, additional money just to advise people on what the contracts that are sitting in before them are like. And that's just one aspect of things. There's so much more from a legal point that people need to get done. Just don't go in there charging people. There's this feeling amongst artists that lawyers are expensive. And for as long as artists feel that lawyers are expensive, they're not going to look for lawyers. And for as long as lawyers are not looking for artists, that relationship is never going to happen. It's never going to work out. And if lawyers do find artists, don't overcharge. Just understand how much you can charge with artists. Anything from $500 to 1,500 to 2,000 artists can afford if they're already spending like 2K on a song, and this person is going to do 7 songs up to 15 songs. Of course, they can afford, $1,000, $1,500 for contracts that are going to protect them. So lawyers, start looking into this direction. There's a whole conversation around royalties, as a lawyer, do your homework, find out how do royalties work, and how can I advise my artists on all of this, and sign artists on. I know some of the biggest music rights lawyers in the country who have some of the biggest catalogs. I'm talking about all the way from Bangi Msikinya to Bangi Msikinya, what am I saying? Bangi Msikinya to Mamire Makeba. There's this one lawyer. I'm going to avoid mentioning people's names or names of companies and record labels. I'll just speak in reference. Okay. So there's this one law firm in Parktown, and this law firm has represented just about everybody in the industry who is ever big. Brenda Fassie, Ringo Madlingozi, Black Coffee. They've represented those people at one stage or another of that artist's career. And that law firm is one of the leading law firms in the country when it comes to music rights. But, I don't know if they can afford to do that for everybody. They don't. What about the artists down in PE who are looking for legal advice? Do they have to drive up to Parktown in Joburg when there's a law firm right there in PE that can, help them? And we all know how Eastern Cape is big with like thousands of big artists come from the Eastern Cape, from KZN, from or from Mpumalanga. Do they all have to go to Joburg for legal advice, or you law firms in the areas can help them? So there's a lot of money to be made from a law firm perspective as well. If you just go do the research, artists desperately need it, and that could be one of those things. That, what's this term that we using? Flatten the curve. Yeah, flattening the curve. So many artists complaining about being taken for a ride, or they're being crooked. If more lawyers jumped in and represented more artists, that curve could be flattened, and more artists could start getting fair deals, and lawyers could start making some good money in this industry as well, and not leaving it to a select few. So moving on to another topic. Okay, so do I have a question here? No, it says show Blawi. Moving on to another topic. Don't forget, you can send me your questions on in the comment section, and I will answer your questions if you've got anything that you would like to ask. And you can also give me a call. Then I'll take your call. You can ask me whatever it is that you want to ask, and then we'll keep it moving just like that. So nonetheless, moving on to onto the business side of things when it comes to being an artist. Like we're talking now about Casper, right? Hey Bio, how you doing? It's been a minute. You in Bloom, by the way, right? Yeah, we should catch up sometime before you leave. So anyway, when it comes to music, the music side of things, the pros and cons of being signed, pros and cons of being independent. Now, there are pros and cons in both sides. The biggest cons of being signed is you being signed into a contract that is actually going to drown you. It's going to suffocate you. That is the biggest con that you can ever have in any music industry, right? And the upside of being signed is that you are exposed to amazing facilities. If you are signed to any one of the top 5 record labels in the country, you're exposed to amazing facilities. And those facilities include, so a couple of years ago, I used to manage Mikasa. And Mikasa was signed to a record label. And I didn't work for that record label. I just worked inside that record label for Mikasa. but the resources inside the record label. Now, on the team, I was basically manager of Mikasa, and on the team, everybody else was from the record label. But the number of people that all worked on the Mikasa project in total, there was a good 18 people whose job it was every single day to make sure that the Mikasa brand gets somewhere. And that is the upside of being signed to a record label. You've got people who wake up and go to work every day to ensure that your career is on the move. And that is called structure of a record label. And that structure is what usually is what is missing in an artist's career. 50% is your talent. The other 50% is the business. I may argue actually that your talent is actually less than 50%. Somebody else could argue something different, but personal opinion, your talent is actually less than 50%. Majority of it is the business side of things. And the reason why I say that is because each and every single artist that you know who's ever blown up didn't all of a sudden become talented when their first song dropped. Those people have been talented. But the reason why they never blew up is because they were not in organized structures. It's only when they got into organized structures did they really blow up, right? They really blew up when they got into organized structures. And then a lot of them, when they leave the same organized structure, they fell flat on their faces. But there's one consistent thing in all of that. Their talent is still the same. They didn't drop on their talent. They were incredibly talented before they were signed. They were incredibly talented while they were signed. They're still incredibly talented after they got dropped by their record label or after they left the record label. And the difference, though, in all of that is when they got signed, they had structure, and that structure took them to the top. So essentially, your talent really is not enough. Because if it was enough, you should have blown up without a record label. Or even if it's not a record label, you should have blown up without structure. And you get signed, you blow up, then you leave the structure. You should still be able to carry on being at the top of your game without structure if your talent was enough. But because talent is not enough, artists who have led record labels find it very difficult to operate in this industry because now you don't have 18 people working on your brand anymore. Now you got to do it. You got to make it happen yourself. And then your so-called talent gets compromised when you start becoming a music manager, a music boss. Your talent starts getting compromised because you've got so much on your mind that you're thinking about, that you're working on, and you don't have the amount of time anymore to work on your craft anymore because you also have to be working on your bookings, on your PR, on your next coming album, on this and that and that. There's so much on your plate now that you start compromising your talent, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't be involved in your business, but you being the absolute sole business manager of your talent does come with its cons as well. So what you want to do is, if you want to be an independent artist, you gotta go into a partnership with a very strong business manager, with a very strong team that's gonna understand that we are here to work for this concept. This concept is Bangi, the artist. That is the business that we're working for. And you gotta treat those people with the amount of respect that they deserve, because without them, they are the structure that we're talking about. Without them, your talent really is gonna go nowhere. It's gonna, you can have a whole lot of heat, a whole lot of buzz on the internet, but not really get anywhere. There are some artists out there right now, a lot of heat, a lot of buzz on the internet, but I can tell you now for free, they're not gonna get anywhere. They don't have structure. It's that simple. They can have so many people loving them and feeding them on the internet, but they're not gonna get anywhere. They don't have structure. Music business is a business. It's a business. It's not just get up on stage and sing. There's so much that goes into it. And as much as we have to respect artists, that they don't just get up on stage and sing, they've put in so much work into creating this art that they're going to perform on stage. The business people in the music industry put in just as much work for this artist to be at a particular level that they're at. I've had the privilege of working under some of the biggest names in the industry. Not only did I work at Soul Candy indirectly, but I worked for Lance Stir, who is the founder of Motherland, formerly known as Ghetto Rough. And he was just one of those guys that him and his wife, Delphine Claassen, like just learning from them every single day and realizing, geez, this is what it takes to make Zola blow. This is what it takes to make Brenda Fassy's industry work. I mean, these are people that work with those big brands. And at the time that I was working there, they were the biggest artist there was Nati, and also on the catalog was Vusinova. And the amount of work that went into making sure those two brands are on the move was insane. It was incredible. Then there were new artists that were being built, and the amount of work that had to be put into those guys was also insane. So, you know, never ever underestimate the amount of work that goes into the business side of things. As an artist, you need structure, and the people that work in your structure are just as important as you are, if not probably more important than you are. But ultimately, in a space where you are independent, yes, you are the boss, and you captain of the ship, but you need to understand, you know, just like in soccer, you may be the captain, but you know, you still need a goalkeeper, you need a solid defense, you need solid strikers, you need a solid midfield, wingers, etc. And you all need strategy as well. You can have people in positions, but if you all don't have a planned strategy, then you also kind of just running on the field, you know, not knowing what you're going to do when you get the ball. So you all got to have strategies in place. Different strategies work for different artists. Whatever worked for Nasty C is not necessarily going to work for Casper, you know. Different, whatever works for Kaiser Chiefs doesn't work for Pirates. Is that simple. You all got to have your own strategy. You got to employ people who are smart enough, who apply their minds in whatever skills that you brought them in for. If somebody says they're PR, you really got to figure out how strong are these people in PR. Stop taking your friends to come and manage you. Stop taking your friends to come and manage you. There's an artist out there in Pretoria. I don't want to name him because I sound like I'm bashing, but he's got a whole lot of his friends that are around him, and this boy's got potential that is through the roof, insane amount of potential. But he's genuinely, in my opinion, also never going to get anywhere because the people around him, man, he's got too many friends. First things first, he needs to get rid of a lot of friends and bring in people who want to work, because he already brings the work. And the people around him are not working. They're playing around. They're playing games. And so stop employing your friends. Stop getting managed by your friends. Get managed by people who are serious about managing artists. You know, I know for a fact that there are some people that I won't manage. I refuse to manage them because we have close personal relationships. And you know, some lines are going to get crossed. It's going to get blurry, and it's going to become a mess. So you know, it's best to just work with people that you all understand this is a working relationship, and through a working relationship, people can scream and shout at each other, because that happens a lot in the music industry. People can scream and shout at each other, and it's not personal, it's work. And so, you know, when you're doing that with your friends, you find yourself somewhere down the line, you're tired because you don't even know how to scream at your friends. And your time gonna go TikTok. Before you know it, your time's up and you've spent too much time with your friends. So get into business with people who are really about the business. And don't be scared to cut your friends off when it comes to the business side of things. They can say you've changed, whatever, but this is business. Half the time, they've got families, or they've got jobs, or they've got degrees that they can fall back on. You don't. So cut them out. They can go work wherever they're comfortable. You need to do what you need to do for this, which is yours, right? And cut them out if you have to. Go out with them on Saturday, visit them on or whichever day from a friendship point of view, but don't mix your work with them.
they can support you, which is always great. But work, yeah, you all gotta understand, we have to wear different hats in life. So yeah, that speaks to that. Structure. Always make sure that you have structure if you're going to be independent, because that's what record labels offer. They offer structure, which is a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. So if it's not a lot of money, when you're independent, you don't have a lot of money, then you can find people who want to manage you, because they also want to build their name in the industry as managers. And they may come at a deal that, okay, I'll make money from every cent that we bring in, right? And that's a good deal. A lot of managers out there are willing to work on those kinds of deals. And then they have to get smart on how they're going to ensure that you get this money as well, so that they can get paid and you can get paid. And there's something that I want to touch on right on that point, of bringing in friends and whatnot. But nonetheless, so yes, I want to talk about the different levels of artists. You've got your super artists, your big artists, your big celebrities, the guys who've made it. I'm talking AKA, I'm talking Prince KB, Casper, Black Coffee, A-list artists who are up there making a heck of a lot of money. I mean, just pick up a phone and call Questa's booking manager and ask him, yo, I want to book Questa for an event. They're going to give you an amount. Negotiate with them as hard as you want, right? Ask them what's the lowest amount of money they can take. Whatever amount they give you, they could say 50,000, they could say 80,000, 100,000 is the lowest they go. I don't know. Whatever amount they give you, right? That'll give you an impression of how much money these artists make. When you look at the Instagram, where they say, I'm performing this weekend at this place, that place, that place, that place. Black Coffee was the first notorious artist to do that. I remember 2013, I sat down and I worked it out. At the time, his booking fee, I think, was somewhere around 80K per booking. And then I worked out his booking schedule according to his Instagram. I mean, give or take, some of the events were probably not 80K, they'll probably cheaper, depending on the negotiation. But roughly, the amount of money that he was making in that 1 month was 3 million rand in that 1 month. So there's massive potential for those big artists to make 3 million rand, 4 million rand, 5 million rand in 1 month. But now we're talking Black Coffee, talking the guys right there, the high-end guys. Then there's a middle guys, the guys in the middle who are, not complete Black Coffee power, but they still power. And they get their bookings. Maybe they'll be like, yo, me, I'll take a booking for 30K, right? For 30,000 bucks, I'll come perform at your place. Sure. Then that artist, if you think about it, especially in this South African economy, if I'm charging 30,000 rands a performance, and I take one performance a week, this Saturday I'm in Bloem, next week Saturday PE, in a month, 3, 6, 9, 12. In a month I would have made 120,000 rands. 120,000 rands to perform 4 times in a month, to go to work 4 times in a month. There's a lot of money in this economy where people are middle to senior management in private companies. That's what they earn. They're earning 120,000 a month. Their salaries are like $1 million, $1.5 million a year, right? And so you can make that as an artist from performing once a month, right? So not all artists are going to be Black Coffee level. Some of them are going to be just here in the middle, which is okay. Then there's the smaller artists who are making, like, let's talk DJs, never mind artists, DJs who are booking at 3.5K to 5,000 per booking. Those guys. There's a guy in 2013, again, who was so smart in his business plan, in his business structure, that he was making, at the time when I worked it out, he was making 140,000 rands per month. And this is how he did it. He was charging 3.5 per booking. He got himself on 4 different companies' bookings lists. So some companies, they have a database of which booking agents they call when they're looking for an artist or a DJ to come perform at their corporate function. So this brand will be having a corporate function on a Tuesday, and they have a budget there 3.5 for a DJ or an artist. So this company does not want to call artists. They want somebody else to do it. So they find an agency that can bring them artists or musicians. So artists, musicians, you all need to get yourself on these agencies. And these agencies are the ones that will get you these bookings, right? So this guy, he got himself on different agencies. And this guy used to do like 6-7 gigs a weekend. 6-7 gigs a weekend. He'll be doing like 2 on a Friday, 3 on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday. That kind of vibe, right? And he'll be driving all over. So he was based in Joburg. His bookings would be all over Gauteng and in Mpumalanga. I mean, Mpumalanga is worst case scenario, 2-hour drive. So he can pull it off, you know? And that was just, he was in that machine booking for 3,500. This guy didn't need to put out an album. He didn't need to record nothing. He just got a right structure and team to ensure that he is making money. Making 140,000 a month as a DJ. That was a guy who, like, he's one of those people that showed me structure is everything. Okay, I've got a call from Lerato. Let me take this call as well. Lerato has a question, I think, a question or two. But like I was saying, structure is everything in this business. You're absolutely not enough. The business side of things is what you really, really need to be focused on. And if you're not going to be focused on it, you got to have a team that's really focused on it. So it's not a bad thing getting signed. Get signed, but take that contract, that offer, take it to a lawyer who's going to help you understand for it more. No, this shouldn't happen this way, and separate the deals, the contracts. Hello, Lerato. I don't see any visuals. Are you calling me with your lights off? Wow. Okay. Okay, Lerato. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. Listen, my timekeeper tells me I've got, how long? 5 minutes. I've got 5 minutes left. Yeah. How are you doing? What's up? How can I help you? You know what? I think I'll start another live for about 15 minutes, and then we'll reschedule for another day. But I think I'll start another live for another 15 minutes. Yeah. So would you like to ask, or do you want me to start? I go to send. Okay, cool. All right, cool. No worries. Coolio. So, geez, how do I hang up? How do I hang up? Please hang up on your side. Okay, she just did. Sharp. So, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I am gonna continue, start another live for about 15 minutes, wrap it up. But there's still a whole lot more. Like, I actually have a book that I wanted to talk to you guys about, that I needed you to, like, there's references that I wanted to share. There's this book on music rights. It's called exactly that, Music Rights, a music guide booklet. I wanted to tell you guys about this and the content that's in here, other resources that there is out there that you can go read up on. So, you know, we didn't get to about 50% of the things that I actually have prepared, but it's not a train smash. I think we can also set another date on which we can come back and have these conversations. It's a first one, this one. Let's have a second one. And maybe in the second one we'll be done, or maybe we'll find another reason to carry on. We'll find more people to call in. I can bring in some of my industry friends to also call in. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But for now, I think let me just try and wrap it up and see how much info can I. Oh, yes, there we go. So let's see how much info. How much can I say? So in case you've just joined in, yeah, we've touched on the legal side of things. Not everything though, just a little bit. Just really barely scraping the surface. On the legal side of things, we've touched a little bit on contracts. We've touched on pros and cons of having of being signed artist in a record label and being an independent artist. And now we're talking about structure, about the music business. You know, we still need to talk about royalties. We spoke about ownership of music and who owns music, and how and why they own the music. So there's still more stuff that we really need to speak about. I'd really like to give you references as well, so that I'm not the only person talking. You can actually go read up on stuff. There is some resources out there, some information out there that you can read. And let's do this again, I think, in the next live. So I know on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because of the Rona, everybody's doing Instagram parties and stuff like that. So I wouldn't want to jump in during those times. So I'd like to keep it between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, our talks. So let's do it again on Monday. Let's talk again on Monday at 8 p.m. I think 8 p.m. is a better time for us to have these talks. Let's talk on Monday at 8 p.m. again. And I'm going to continue where I left off. Like I say, I've got some material that I want to share with you that I couldn't share today. And we'll pick up from there. But other than that, thanks a lot for tuning in. Tatohatsi says, thank you. It was very informative, though my network failed me for Nakonyana. Well, unfortunately, it happens. But thanks for tuning in, Tatohatsi. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Ndu underscore V, Penny1 underscore FS, CDC Bebani, Baholo Masala, Shakes Kumolo. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Tiro Ubusitse, Pandemonium Ray. A whole lot of people tuned in. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Let's do it again on Monday at 8 p.m. I'll be back with more info then. So yeah, no, I'm not going to do another 15 minutes. Let's just leave it for Monday, right? Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I'm going to keep this video on my Instagram, but I'm going to download it too, and then I'll put it on my YouTube channel. So yeah, look out for that on the socials, at Bangi _ on Twitter, and right here on Instagram, and Bangi Msikinya on Facebook. Peace.